I'm on the move in 6 of the greatest cities of the world, and I'm on the trail of their top movers and shakers. They're not all cut from the same cloth.
In our globalized world, don't make the mistake of thinking everywhere's now the same. Each great city marches to its own tune. My background's diplomacy, cultivating networks.
As an ambassador, my job's to get to know some of the most powerful people in the world and find out what really makes them tick.
Crime, glamour, power, and influence. It'll all be there.
In these 6 cities, I'll grapple with the dark, Machiavellian heart of politics. I'll witness up close the lives of the immensely rich. And I'll get into the minds of those who really rule the roost. This is a journey to uncover the networks of power.
New York is the most powerful and seductive symbol of the American dream. It has been a magnet for people seeking to better themselves ever since European settlers bought Manhattan for just $24. 400 years on, there are few cities in the world to match its power and influence.
It's terrific to be back in New York City. There's a real energy in the air. I'm sort of tingling almost from sort of vibrations of the Big Apple. I used to come here regularly when I was ambassador down in Washington just to get a shot of adrenaline. But that was 10 years ago, and things change here very rapidly. 10 years is a long, long time in the life of New York City.
This city has always known the value of its power networks. Who's up, who's down, who knows who, and how all that converts into money, which lies at the heart of every New York power nexus. So where better to start than Forbes magazine, a century-old institution world famous for ranking the rich and powerful. And if anyone knows where the power now lies in New York, it's managing editor Bruce Uppin.
So Christopher,
Hey, Bruce.
welcome to Forbes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sure.
Are you a New Yorker?
Yes, I am, yes.
So how do you define yourself as a New Yorker, for example?
Impatient, aggressive, loving change, loving difference. I need to be shocked. I've seen it all. I'm proud of my jadedness.
If I'm looking for the top 10 rich and powerful in New York City,
Mike Bloomberg is the most powerful man in New York.
the number 1 in New York
Yeah,
City.
and think about why. He's the mayor. He's also the 2nd richest man in New York. And he is a major philanthropist and has major opinions on everything. No smoking and no fried food, and you can't walk across the street. You know, there's no traffic jams. You can't come into the city unless you pay. So he's very active in all spheres. The city is made up of networks within networks within networks. No matter what room you're in, there's always a more powerful room to the side. And even there's another more powerful room, the inner sanctum.
What do I need to survive this experience?
When you're in New York, you have to stick your fingers into the sockets of power, money, wealth, action, media. It's all happening here.
Sockets of power? The question is, which to choose? Well, there is one that packs quite a charge, is quintessentially New York, and manages to cut across all the networks Bruce has talked about. Fashion. Forget London, Milan, or even Paris. New York style radiates global influence, and it boldly claims to be the fashion capital of the world. While I'm no fashionista, I have been given a special invitation to attend the biggest event in the calendar. Welcome to Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week at Lincoln Center. 8 days that bring in over $400 million. And it's all under the control of just one very influential woman. Meet Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, Director of Fashion at Lincoln Center and one of the most powerful women in the industry. At 6'1", decked head to toe in black, I'm frankly feeling a little intimidated.
Stephanie,
Yes, hi, Sir Christopher, how are you?
I'm extremely well. Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Such a pleasure to have you here.
Well, I'm quite nervous even. I've never been to a fashion show before, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be seeing.
You know what, I've got lots to show you. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Stephanie is making a beeline straight towards the underground car park. And I thought I was on the VIP tour.
So what's behind this curtain?
Behind this curtain is Los Angeles, but like you've never seen it before. Now imagine, this is a garage.
This is a garage.
This is a garage.
So I might have parked my car coming to the opera or something.
Oh,
Confused? You're not the only one.
Well, here we're in a kind of redwood forest.
we're in a redwood forest,
It sounds like a jungle.
but we are in a jungle. As I said, this is, I mean, our world is a jungle and everyone has that survival of the fittest.
So fashion is the law of the jungle.
Which at least helps explain all the fur. As I join the pack, devouring the latest collection from Juicy Couture, I'm still not sure how this works. But clearly Stephanie knows what she's doing. The protege of legendary Vogue editor Anna Wintour, she has deftly orchestrated the industry's rising status. It seems every jungle must have its Amazon queen.
Tell me what you think that you actually bring to this party.
I am able to play in everyone's sandbox. I am able to pick up and develop something amazing with Vogue. And then I can also do something with InStyle, Harper's Bazaar. You've got to electrify yourself. You have to engage with everyone in order to make the right decisions. I'm more of an ambassador to the industry. I'm Switzerland. And there's only one Switzerland in this industry.
But the fact of the matter is, however Swiss, quote unquote, you may be, if you take decision A instead of decision B or vice versa,
There are
it
always
has
implications.
could have a big commercial implication.
It could.
Behind Stephanie's effortless serenity, she's working night and day to stay at the top.
So you are one of the great power centers of the world, based here in New York City.
I wouldn't say one of, I'd say the.
And you are sitting on top of the heap.
I'm sitting on a very large heap.
And on that poetic note,
But before I go, Stephanie wants me to see menswear designer Marlon Goebel. She's such charming company, it's easy to forget that one word from her can make or break a career.
I suppose that every Marlon Goebel, there are how many who have wanted to be here today,
Yes.
and you've had to say no to? 25, 50?
Hundreds.
It gives you huge power.
I'm intrigued to see what's made the grade. I'm reliably informed that this collection is themed on a jewelry robbery. Not the quickest getaway I've ever seen. Even with the benefit of Stephanie's expert instruction, I still couldn't tell you if Marlon is the next big thing. But what she has given me is an insight into how not just this industry, but this city works. Behind its glamorous, free-spirited image, fashion here is not so different from diplomacy. Politics, patronage, and front are all needed in getting your way. That and a fearsome work ethic are prerequisites for power in any New York circle. In truth, they're the key ingredients to the city's outstanding success. Roll on tomorrow, where I grill a billionaire over breakfast and also place myself in the hands of a desperate housewife. I'm leaving Manhattan, America's commercial, financial, and cultural capital, for somewhere much closer to Anytown, USA. Jamaica is a neighborhood in the heart of Queens, the sprawling New York City borough Manhattanites only encounter on the way to the airport. Or sometimes on a Sunday.
I got the gospel in my spirit. Hallelujah. Sometimes it makes you run, sometimes it makes you jump. It's the gospel.
6,000 people come to the Greater Allen Cathedral every Sunday, and thousands more watch over the internet. Even after all those years I spent living in the States, I always make a point of reminding myself just how fundamental God is here.
I need
Only 13% of New York State residents admit to being non-religious, and the city alone has the largest Jewish population outside Israel and more Catholics than Rome, which explains why New York's most ambitious public figures have graced these pews, all keen to be seen here.
Come and worship the Lord.
The truth is, this shared faith in a higher power underpins the very power dynamic of this city, with its earnestness, drive, unshakable self-confidence, all spilling into every part of secular life.
Truly wonderful service.
Thank you, sir.
Inspiring.
Thank you. The handshake.
The
and the hug.
handshake, powerful.
Thank you, sir.
Power of the gospel.
All right. Yeah, all right. You ready to go preach now?
I might do that. I feel so
God bless
inspired.
What's your name? I'm Bernard.
I'm Christopher.
Christopher, God bless you.
God bless you too. It's a big community centre. I mean, it's not just church and worship.
You can
It's
get everything.
everything.
You can get everything here.
Yeah, mayor comes here, doesn't he?
We've seen everybody except we haven't seen Obama yet,
He's got to come.
but he's
though.
probably on his way.
I remember there used to be another Sunday ritual no self-respecting New Yorker could afford to miss. Weighing in at up to 6 pounds, Sunday's New York Times is a mighty tome. Self-important and sanctimonious, it set the agenda. But times have changed. It now has to struggle with the most competitive media market in the United States, against 200 newspapers, 350 magazines, cable channels, and the internet, stuffed with celebrity gossip and reality TV. But there is one titan from the golden age of television who has survived it all and is a close friend of mine. The undisputed queen of television news, who's been at the heart of every major story for the last 40 years. Barbara Walters is meeting me in her dressing room.
Okay, let's go because you're going to lose me.
Okay, all right, let's go.
I'm so late already and it's my fault.
I need to navigate
Yeah.
the powerful.
You must do your homework. I am zealous about that. I am boring about that. You should certainly speak to our mayor. I think he is unique. He's in his 3rd term. He's a billionaire.
Besides the mayor, who matters in New York today?
Other than the politicians, who has real power in New York? You might want to meet one of the members of the Tisch family because they are real estate people. Larry Tisch at one point owned CBS. They are a very successful businessmen, and they can give you a picture of the city that I can't give.
Barbara is surprisingly modest, but this is the woman who has interviewed every president since Nixon.
Would it be right to say there is nobody that would not pick up the phone if they heard that Barbara Walters was on the line?
You have no idea how many people do not pick up the phone. They don't want to do the interview. They don't want to do it with me.
But you have a pedigree of interviews which is peerless. And sometimes you've made history. Fidel Castro,
Those are interviews you can't do today.
Begin,
You just don't get the time. And
Anwar Sadat.
on the programs in which I work, we are not interested in most international leaders. We are not interested in your prime minister. We are not interested in Mrs. Merkel in Germany.
Are we more interested in reality TV shows today than foreign leaders 25 years ago?
Well, are we more interested in reality television now than we are interested in most anything else? You know, forget news. We have now the Real Housewives of New Jersey. We have the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We have the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And that's what we are showing all over the country.
Is this reality stuff or just a passing phase, a burp? as it
No,
were?
no, I mean, everything today and anything today can be reality television.
My task is to track down New York's networks of power. And if Barbara Walters insists that media power now lies with reality television, then that's where I need to head next. Today, the city of George Gershwin, Andy Warhol, and Woody Allen is hooked on reality television and is exporting it worldwide. And the zenith of the genre would appear to be the Real Housewives of New York. This is the Countess Luann de Lesseps, a huge star who has made the most of her 15 minutes to become an author, jewelry designer, and even pop star. I've not hooked up with many reality TV stars before, but I learnt in my diplomatic career that flattery is usually a good mask for ignorance.
If I may say so, you're looking magnificent, Luann. I'm going to call you Luann.
Yeah.
If you call me Mr. Christopher, I'll call you Countess.
You just follow my lead, honey.
No, I will. That's what I normally do. Your reality show is Real Wives of New York. Is that right?
The Real Housewives of New York.
Real
Yes,
Housewives
you're
of New
close.
York.
Kind of like, you know, Desperate Housewives meet Sex in the City. I think New York City is our biggest asset. I count it as one of the housewives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you syndicated all around the United States?
We're syndicated all over the world.
You are?
And I would say it's even more popular in New York City, of course, because people in New York like to watch the show because they notice that's the restaurant that they went to. Oh, I've been shopping in that store. Oh, I know that part of Central Park.
For all her sophistication, there is unmistakable grit and graft beneath the glamour.
Is it a tough town?
I think New York can be a tough town, but I think if you're persistent and you really want something, this is the place you can make it happen.
New York City is a place where you really do have to network to get anything done.
On every level. That's not a problem for you, Christopher. Use your English accent, you dress impeccably.
Oh dear, my English accent is slipping out.
I know.
I know.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, you're making me
I like
blush.
it, though.
Oh my God, was it the booze? I don't know.
No, cheers. Here
Cheers,
we go.
and thank you. Thank you.
Oh, look at that. It started to snow a little bit.
Our Countess is unexpectedly good company. And while I'm not sold on reality TV, there is no doubting its real soft power, mesmerizing millions with a mirage of glamour. Which all helps to build the mythology of New York, the full-on 24/7 city, which never sleeps. A beautiful morning in the Big Apple, and it's time to leave behind soft power to enter one of the sanctuaries of real influence, where power is wielded quietly behind closed doors and where the really big decisions are made. I'd selected my hotel with great care. To the untrained eye, it doesn't look like much, but every morning for the last 30 years, some of the most powerful in this city gather behind the drab facade. Because the Regency is the home to New York's legendary power breakfast. And if you want to reach the great and good, you need to get past this person, Maître D. Ray Bianco.
So Ray, this is the legendary power breakfast room of New York City.
So they say.
You are the arbiter of these powerful people who come in here. I mean, you decide where they sit, whether they can sit. How do you do it?
I have to talk very quickly and keep them entertained while they're waiting for tables and make them feel that the table that they get is the best one in the world for them.
Big job, this.
It is. I don't sleep well.
Show me some of the tables.
This is where Jeb Bush was.
Former governor of Florida, brother of George W. Bush?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, this is the Jeb Bush,
But
possibly future
but
presidential
also-
chair.
You're centrally located.
Yeah. Mirrors help you see
Mirrors.
the whole room.
You can check to make sure your hair is parted correctly.
Yep, fine.
Right?
My hair's still there.
You-
Yep.
everything-
While Jeb Bush's table isn't bad, I'm actually angling to get to the top table reserved for the owners of the hotel, the Tisch family, whom Barbara Walters tipped as second after the mayor in New York power.
Is there anything I could do, like sing you a song or bring you a bunch of roses that might get me in there faster than would otherwise be the case?
Well, maybe. It depends on the day.
Do people do that? Do people ring up
Oh,
and say,
they try everything.
theater tickets, carry you off to Hawaii or something like that? I don't know.
That one hasn't happened yet. Look at that.
However, even being buddies with Ray doesn't guarantee talking to a Tisch. Ultra-rich and ultra-powerful, the Tisch family are as near as New York gets to aristocracy. They avoid publicity, but if you know where to look, you'll find the family name on great buildings across the city and family members at the heart of the city's key institutions. Fortunately for me, they also own the American football team, the New York Giants, who have just won the Super Bowl. And riding this wave of goodwill, I've been granted my very own power breakfast with the head of the family, Jim Tisch himself.
Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Sir Christopher. How are you?
I'm very well.
It's a pleasure to see you again.
It's not often I share eggs over easy with a billionaire.
Who ever heard of a hotel restaurant being the place to be for breakfast of all places?
Would you see the mayor here?
Generally not, but what you do see are the people that are running for mayor. Truth be told, I come here because my office is across the street,
Yeah.
so it's really, really convenient. I like to keep my life in a small area.
But how can I put it, morally and politically, you reach across the entire city, for example, through your philanthropy.
Philanthropy is very, very important in New York City, no doubt about it, and it's probably unlike any other city in the world.
And whether you like it or not, generosity becomes an instrument of influence and of authority and in some degree of power in the city.
Power and standing, yes.
Philanthropy has a rich history in this city. So many of its great buildings were put up by great benefactors, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Guggenheim, all driven by a sense of moral duty to give something back and immortalizing themselves in the process.
I don't want to make things oversimplified, but who actually runs a city?
It's what I would call organized anarchy. And what comes out of it usually is not nearly as bad as the inputs that go into it.
Are you optimistic
About?
the future of this city?
We've got an election coming up 2 years from now. And so a big question will be who's going to be the next mayor and how will the city be managed?
And Mayor Bloomberg can't run again even if he wanted to.
Well,
Could he?
truth be told, when he started his second term, the rule was you couldn't run for a third term.
Well,
And he made it so that he could. Not shades of Putin, but almost. You know, I'm a believer in a benign autocracy. I think the mayor has done a phenomenal job. If he could or would run for a fourth term, I'd certainly vote for him.
Billionaires backing billionaires? Is this where the hard power lies? The wealthy conservative elite control the city, and as long as they do it well, nobody minds too much. And at the very top sits a man worth a cool $22 billion, one of the most philanthropic men in America, and mayor for over a decade, plugging him into every socket of power.
So that's City Hall, and inside there works Mayor Michael Bloomberg and his staff, and I can almost touch it. I'm almost there. By hook or by crook, I've got to go that 100 yards, climb those steps, open those doors, and get in and talk to him.
If money is power, this is the place to be. The undisputed financial hub of America. Home to the world's largest stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, with a market value of over $9 trillion and a few very powerful individuals.
I used to know a lot of these people personally, and they were never shy about coming out to play and discussing their business and telling me pretty frankly what the prospects were. What has happened? Everybody's gone to ground.
It seems after the financial crisis, none of the really famous names want to talk to me about the power of the big banks. But hard times don't mean fortunes can't be won and lost. 4 miles north, on the corner of Central Park, is the billion-dollar hedge fund Octavian. The company state that the turmoil in worldwide markets provides a perfect backdrop for Octavian's unique style of investing.
good afternoon. I'm Christopher Mayer, and I'm here to see Mr. Horowitz.
One of the least regulated and most profitable sectors in finance, hedge funds are discreet, invitation-only affairs for investors with serious money. The brains behind Octavian is its CEO, Richard Horowitz.
Hi, Richard. Hi. Hey, thanks for seeing me.
Someone Tom Wolfe would describe as one of New York's masters of the universe. Pretty powerful when all's said and done.
Obviously, I've done a little bit of homework before coming here, but you focus on really interesting areas like distressed debt.
So one set of things we do is we invest in companies that are going through distress of some form. And they're usually very good companies, but they just have too much debt, like a lot of people and governments as well. So you can see today, all that red is Greece, right? The red is when the market goes down, and the green is when it goes up. So today,
I mean, there's plenty of distress in Greece. It's almost as if the crisis is the boon that enables you to create the business model.
Yeah, it is a big opportunity. On the other hand, you know, even when people make money out of a crisis, it's not as much fun when a lot of people are losing money.
Octavian is now one of the world's richest hedge funds. It's this eye for opportunity which is typical of the city and its traders.
You're pretty optimistic then about the future of this city.
The United States, for sure, is still going to be probably the most important economy for the next century, and I think New York is right in the middle of that. The thing that would concern me more than anything is if we go through a period of time where we decide to shut our borders. And New York is obviously at the heart of immigration, but the thing that's made this country great over the last, you know, several hundred years is really, you know, the fact that we do attract great people from all over the world. You can come here, and if you're hardworking and you're smart and you're kind of ambitious, you can make a success and you can improve your life.
Like everyone in New York, Richard can recite the American dream. But Manhattan is a bubble of money and privilege. And if that credo is really so vital to this city's continued prosperity, I need to find it elsewhere. So I'm heading back to a less affluent part of town, Queens, where immigrants make up half the population. I've arranged to meet the people who know, taxi drivers, so often recent immigrants. My contact, their trade union boss, Fernando Mateo.
Christopher, we've been waiting for you, sir.
Are you Fernando?
I'm Fernando. How are
Pleasure
you?
to meet you.
It's good
How
to
are
see
you?
you. I'm
Good to
doing
see you.
great. Likewise,
I hear
welcome.
you're the man to see around here,
Well,
is that right?
well, actually, these are the guys
All
to
these
see.
are the
All
guys
these
to
guys are
see.
the guys to see, yeah. You know what? The city could not function without us. Am I right or am I wrong? Oh, correct. Am I right or am I wrong? Yes, you're right. All right.
Well, if you're a taxi driver, do you end up having greater faith in human nature or less faith in human nature?
They are everything.
Yeah.
Counselors, psychiatrists,
Valentine's
you know.
Day is the worst.
What
It's
is
the
it?
worst. Last Valentine's Day, a woman's crying. She saw her ex-boyfriend at a party. That's my fault. You know? It's my fault. It's my fault.
I want to know, and I'll ask him, because you told me I should.
Absolutely.
Where is the power in this city?
That's tough because there's so many powerful people in the city. We're the ones that's taking them around in the city. We're the ones that take the lawyers, the doctors, Wall Street, the tourists.
Some people might say Mayor Bloomberg, but would that be...
You know, we have a mayor that, unlike any other mayor in history, does not raise money to run for re-election. He doesn't owe anybody anything. So he runs the city the way he believes his conscience should run it.
He doesn't want to get on the wrong side of you, because you can make life very difficult for him, couldn't you?
If I really wanted to,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a person of reason. I go directly to the mayor.
How does it work? You pick up the phone?
I'll text him. I'll email him.
You'll email him
I'll
direct?
call him on his cell phone.
And you say, what do you say? What do
and
you say to him? You
I
call
say,
him
Mike.
Mike
I
or-
call him Mike.
Say Mike?
I call him Mike. I say, Mike, what?
Mike, is Fernando
I
here?
say, Mike, what's up? What's going on? We have a problem.
When you have a disagreement with the mayor, is it about money or is it about terms
It's
and
always
conditions?
about money. We wish we had more. I wish I had Bloomberg's billions. I wish that Bloomberg remembers me when he's writing his will and says, maybe, you know, Fernando, let me leave you $1 billion and, you know, you'll live happy the rest of your life.
Probably leave
So I
everybody
can-
here
I
$1
can-
billion.
No, I will share. I will share with you guys. I promise I'll share. We are the people. We are New York. Am I right?
Yeah.
Fernando is like no union boss I've ever met. And he's the American dream personified. Second-generation Latino, a self-made millionaire, property developer, nightclub owner, and even radio DJ. And he doesn't actually live in Queens at all, but back in the bubble of Manhattan. To cap it all, he's also president of Hispanics Across America, giving him national status.
The New York Times called me one of the 5 most influential in the country, along with President Clinton, Madonna, Jimmy Jones, and Pat Riley.
You've got this base in the Hispanic community. You've got this base because of what you've done for taxi drivers and because of the Federation. These are important, powerful bases. I mean, they are power bases.
So I'm a businessman. Go straight and turn, just turn. I love making money. You know, I'm a capitalist to the max.
You sound to me like a terrific future mayor of New York City, for example.
You know what? It's not something that's in my plans. It's not something that I'm looking forward to doing. But I do look forward to making sure that whoever is the mayor of this city is the right mayor. And I will put my resources and my 500,000 followers behind that candidate.
With an army of 500,000 people, it gives you a hell of a lot of leverage and influence.
It does.
A hell of a lot.
It does.
Phew, that was quite something. I've rarely met anybody with more energy, more charisma, more ambition. When I shook him by the hand and held him by the shoulder, he was literally vibrating, his muscles almost trembling.
Bueno, yo le dije que traten de no.
It's easy to talk about New York in cliches, its vibrancy, its energy, and so on and so forth. But we've seen the living, walking, breathing reality, and my goodness me, it's impressive.
Fernando is shot through with self-belief, the very incarnation of New York power. A man of the people who knows the rules of the game and all the major players.
Got a bit of good news for you. I was able to meet with Mayor Bloomberg.
Yeah.
I explained to him that your crew was very interested in including him in the documentary. He can't guarantee anything because he is the mayor of the city, but we're hoping that it will happen.
I think we stand a good chance now. Thank you very much indeed.
I'm about to find out how strong New York's network of power really is. It was 8:46 on a clear autumn morning when the first plane hit the World Trade Center. I was British ambassador when the attack took place, and soon I found myself here at Ground Zero. And of all the memories I have of this city, that will remain with me forever. In 1,000 years' time, people will still speak of 9/11. It changed the way New Yorkers see themselves and the world.
The first thing that struck me was it was like a vision of hell. Smoke and steam coming up out of the ruins everywhere you looked. The whole thing, of course, was intended to be a massive blow against New York's power and prestige. And here we are, just over 10 years later, and it's all being rebuilt. It's all going up again. It's moving.
And it's huge, a statement to the world. This is the most ambitious development in the United States. One World Trade Center alone is running at a cost of $3.8 billion, making it the most expensive single building on Earth. With premium land on Manhattan at record prices, the only way to expand is up. This is the first building to be completed, Tower number 7.
I'm going to meet the most powerful woman in New York City. She's not a politician. She's not a hedge fund manager. She's an estate agent.
Manhattan is 23 square miles and has to find room for 4 million people every day, making competition over who gets what increasingly cutthroat. And in the thick of it is Marianne Tai.
Marianne?
How are you?
I'm extremely well.
Welcome to the World Trade Center.
Thank you so much for
Thank
seeing me
you
this
so
afternoon.
no, thank you so much for coming down.
It's quite emotional for me because I was here, not in New York, I was in D.C. on 9/11.
Such a great testament to both the city's resilience, but also its endless capacity for reinvention.
You have, I believe, been voted the most powerful woman in New York City.
Having power in New York is like having beauty in Hollywood. You know, wait 24 hours and there's somebody else that comes
Can
along.
I quote you on that? I'm going to use that.
It was
Yeah.
a
But Marianne's influence will last a lot longer than that. She's been responsible for over 9 million square feet of New York construction, more than 4 times the Empire State Building.
But isn't land the very basis of everything in this city?
Well, if you asked me where I'd take my power, if there were sort of like buckets you could pick from, land is it in New York.
But you're doing something slightly different, aren't you?
We're the intersection of supply and demand.
Kind of matchmaker.
That's right. We are matchmakers is what we do. And we play it at a very high scale. And it's great because what it does is, first of all, it allows you to know people across all different parts of society.
As you rise in success, your network becomes more extensive, more exclusive, and more influential.
I mean, you need to go to a hospital, we represent that hospital. What do you need at the hospital? I mean, I could go down a list of every conceivable category.
Well, Marianne, you're the person to come to for anything.
And fortunately for me, Marianne has pulled a few strings to get me to the very top. Whoa. I'm glad to have returned to Ground Zero to find it is literally rising from the ashes. But the greatest power on Earth couldn't prevent the devastation of 9/11. No wonder rebuilding confidence in this city requires more than bricks and mortar. As the great American saying goes, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And in New York, that means security is now the overriding priority. Tens of millions have been spent transforming the country's largest police force, the NYPD. 1,000 officers are solely dedicated to counter-terrorism. And I've been given privileged access to its inner sanctum, the Executive Command Center, by the boss, New York's Police Commissioner, Ray Kelly.
9/11 changed an awful lot of things in New York City and throughout the world. We have, as a result of that horrific day, taken on the added responsibility of counterterrorism. This is where we put thousands of cameras into Lower Manhattan, about 3,000. They're accessible here. A call comes through and there is a suspicious vehicle. It'll come up here on this map if we click on it. And it will go to a camera that's within 500 feet of that particular incident.
So you could see, if you wish to, assuming you had cameras in place, of course, you could see a crime in progress, for example.
Yes, and we can go back. We keep all of this for 30 days.
Maximum 30 days you can wind back.
We built in that aspect to it. Because we knew that people were concerned of keeping film indefinitely. So
Commissioner Kelly's low-key manner belies an inner steel. A former Marine who once turned down the top job at the FBI to stay protecting this city.
We have people now stationed overseas. We have them in 11 cities, London included.
And it adds to your personal reach, doesn't it?
No question about it, the world has become a much smaller place. We're working now with agencies and entities that we certainly didn't work with prior to September 11th, and that includes a whole portfolio of foreign governments.
This vision of Orwellian surveillance is the price that New Yorkers must pay for feeling safe. A strange thought in the self-styled land of the free, but then we're all living under constant surveillance these days. Indeed, the irony is not lost on me that all this time I had been hoping against hope to film with the mayor, and he's been filming me all along.
I've got something to read you from Laura Samatieri in Mayor Bloomberg's scheduling office. Wait for it. It's the climax of the week. And we've only got 20 minutes. Everybody says this is the big man.
For all his own political campaigns. And as mayor of New York, he earns just $1 a year.
With any luck, he'll be in a really good mood because it's his birthday today, Valentine's Day, and he's 70, and we have been told he's having his birthday cake in City Hall at 2 p.m. We haven't been told what kind of birthday cake it is. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it and all of the back and forth to get together.
Well, it's very, very kind of you to do this, and on your birthday. I'm told you're having a birthday cake at this afternoon sometime?
I have no idea, but invariably they will. I went to breakfast this morning to meet a union leader, and it turned out it was a setup, and my senior staff were there in my favorite Greek diner where everybody speaks Spanish in this day and age. I don't know why it took so long to get it there.
You're a New Yorker, and you, as mayor of the city, you kind of represent the spirit of New York. What is the quintessential quality of this city?
It starts with the diversity of the population. When you walk down the streets of New York City, 40% of the people who live here that you'll see on the streets were born outside of America. The tradition of America is you come here without the skills that you need, you get the jobs, they may be low paying and hard working and inconvenient hours and all that sort of stuff, and you sit there and you say, you know, I'm never gonna fulfill the great American dream, but my kids are going to college. My kids can be the next president of the United States. My kids can be rich.
I think we saw the living personification of what you've just said, because on Saturday we went out to see Fernando Mateo, the president of the...
I know Fernando very well.
So I gather.
He was at my house for dinner a couple weeks ago.
He was absolutely terrific, but he assembled for us a group of taxi drivers.
Yep.
And they must have come
all over the world.
From every
Absolutely.
continent, country.
And driving a taxi is not easy. You want to make some money, you got to put a lot of hours in.
So now, what drives this city forward? Is it quote unquote Wall Street? Is it philanthropy? Is it new technology? What is it?
New York is the intellectual capital of America, and we probably are arrogant enough to say the world, although I'm sure the Brits wouldn't agree with us, but let's say we're tied. But I don't think it's any one industry. Finance is part of everything we do, so of course this will be a financial center, as will London, incidentally.
You're optimistic for the future of New York City? Sure. You're an optimistic person?
Yeah. For New York City, you can screw it up. Niall Ferguson, a Brit author, is a very smart guy, and he talked about how great societies don't slowly decline, they decline precipitously, and there's a tipping point. And my recollection is Rome, he said, in 10 years, really lost all control and power. And that's always a danger for London and the UK, for New York and America, for any place in the world.
Do you sometimes think of yourself as the mayor of a city-state?
I joke it's not quite true, but our police department always says it's the 7th largest army in the world. It's probably the 15th largest army in the world.
It's still big.
But it's still pretty big, sure. I would argue it is the best job that I know of in government. The president's got a very tough job, but I think in many senses he's got a tougher job, but I've got a better job.
That was pure power. It's running through his veins. It strikes me that he is what New York is. Workaholic, capitalist, philanthropic, perhaps a bit anxious, but above all, the heart of a giant network of power. It's that heady mix that has been the making of New York, and it will surely continue to power its future.